It's easy to forget about self-maintenance, especially if we're not feeling like it. But when we look good, we feel good. So in this routine, you'll see how I cut my own hair, do my nails, make sugar wax, and take care of my skin at home when it is looking very rough. So if you need some beauty TLC, let's do it together. I'm using my Curia clip set with some hair shears to maintain my layers, but you could do this whole haircut with your hands, a comb, and a pair of hair shears. I just find it a lot easier to use the Curia clips. I love this haircut because it's very simple. It gives long, even layers for healthier, fuller looking hair with a lot of body. So first I'm dividing my hair in half, straight down the middle, and combing it out to ensure there aren't any knots. And then placing the white Curia clip as close as I can under my chin, I'm gliding it down to trim my hair to an even length. Pulling it forward and cutting it in this way leaves behind a V kind of U-shaped layers when you put your hair all to the back. With the blue clip, I'm turning my head to the side to level the layers out so the V shape is more round, and I'm using the Curia clip to guide me into cutting it into a straight line. That hair that's poking outside of the clip, I'm just cutting it off. I've gone into great detail with my other DIY haircut videos. They are linked below, but I'm simply maintaining the shape of the haircut I've done before. As I'm cutting the overall length, I like to check that it is even on both sides before I move on to the other sections. Next, I'm doing the face framing layers, pulling that forward and cutting the hair outside of the clip, first with my bang section and second with my crown area. And for the crown, combing the hair straight up and evenly sliding the clip to the point where I want to cut. This helps the layers to be full, gives me volume, and it rounds out the cut, giving it a beautiful shape that looks good, both straight and curly. Dividing my hair in half again, I'm blending the layers, and blending allows the layers to flow smoothly from shortest to longest without having choppy gaps. Using the shortest layer of my hair as a guide, I'm pulling it out to the side and cutting it into a solid line. Then I divide it into quarters, 2 quarters, and do the same exact thing so that I could have a more thorough, even blending. By the time you're done doing this whole process, it should be shorter on the top and flow evenly into longer layers. If you're cutting your hair for the first time, I recommend that you cut 1/4 to 1/2 inch instead of a large amount until you get used to cutting your own hair, because you can't put hair back. You can only cut more. So it's always better to just cut a little bit less if you're unsure. As you cut your hair, constantly check how the shape is falling to make sure you're cutting your hair into the right shape. Last minute, I decided to cut my bang area once again, but dividing it in half and pulling it across the center of my face so that I can get shorter layers in the center and longer layers on the outside. This creates a very long curtain layer effect. And I've done this haircut on wet curly hair, but the easiest way is on stretched or straightened hair. I do have other super detailed tutorials that teach you how to do it on wet curly hair, dry curly hair, stretched hair, but this is how I do it on my straightened hair. Here's a picture of how it looks when it's curly. My hair was a bit shorter here, but it's a very similar routine I use for my natural hair. I haven't used store-bought body scrubs in years because it's so easy to make your own at home. This body scrub brings a nice glow to my skin and makes it soft and smooth. I love using coconut sugar because it's a natural humectant that has very fine granules, so this is really gentle on sensitive skin. Fenugreek is rich in mucilage that hydrates the skin and gives our scrub this soft, silky feeling. Coffee gives skin a healthy glow because of the caffeine, which increases circulation in the skin. I'm using instant coffee instead of coffee grounds because it's much less abrasive and gentler on the skin. Jojoba oil is my favorite oil to use for this recipe because it's a great emollient that soothes the skin and protects our barrier without clogging the pores, but you are free to use any good quality oil that you have on hand. I'm using a small amount of oil because I prefer my body scrub to have a wet sand type of feel. If you want a softer feeling scrub, just add a little bit more oil. Just make sure not to drown the dry ingredients too much. This recipe lasts 6 months as long as you don't introduce water into the container. So before use, place the amount you need into a separate bowl and then carry that into the shower instead of the one it's stored in. I've tried to make sugar wax successfully many times and failed, but I finally got it right. First, I'm going to show you the mistakes I made that gave me hard candy instead of sugar wax, and then I'll share how to make it correctly to use it straight out of the jar, no heat. Pour the sugar, lemon juice, and water into a pot, stir it well until it's combined before turning on the heat. You want to bring the sugar to a boil while stirring constantly, and be careful because hot sugar can give serious burns. The first major mistake I made was cooking the sugar on high heat the entire time, which led to the drastic change of color from a honey shade into a deeper caramel shade. This is one of the easiest indicators of whether the sugar wax is overcooked or not, and I didn't take enough samples throughout the cooking process to check whether it was done. To do this, carefully spoon a small amount onto a clean, dry countertop and let it cool completely. Now, you don't need ice water for this. Using a countertop is best because it helps to not change the texture of the sugar wax. I got hard candy from overcooking the sugar and it was way too thick and difficult to pour out of the pot. So the second time I made the wax, I used the same exact ingredients and portions I listed on the screen before, but this time I lowered the heat to a simmer once it came to a boil, and every 2 to 3 minutes I took the sugar off the heat and took samples until it cooled to the texture I was looking for, which is a thick texture with a honey-like color, stretchy, pliable, and sticky enough to properly adhere to the hair. When you use cane sugar, it's a lot easier to see the color change over using brown sugar, especially for beginners. If the sugar wax is still warm in the pot, you should be able to easily pour it into a heat-safe container. And as the sugar wax cools down, the texture should be just right to apply it straight from the jar without reheating it. Now, this is the safest and most convenient way to use it without risking burns. To use the sugar wax, you'll need some wax strips, a wax spatula or wooden sticks, and cornstarch. It allows the wax to adhere to your hair and not your skin. You want to start with freshly cleansed armpits and remove all traces of deodorant, and then gently massage the cornstarch into your skin. Get a small amount of wax with a spatula and twirl it until the wax thread wraps completely around it to prevent it from getting all over the place. Now you want to apply that thin layer of wax the opposite direction of hair growth. Apply the strip, rub it a few times to help it to adhere, and as quickly and closely to the skin as possible, pull the strip off. The bottom half of my armpit grows downward, so I'm going to apply the wax in an upwards motion and then pull the wax strip down in the direction that it grows. Waxing in this way helps to prevent ingrown hair, and it helps to properly pull the hair out of the root without irritating it too much. To finish this off, I'm wiping my armpit down with aloe water and topping it off with aloe gel. After waxing, don't apply deodorant for 24 to 48 hours. The skin is extremely vulnerable and deodorant can cause irritation. All you gotta do is just use a zinc-based deodorant powder. This is gonna prevent that odor until you can use traditional deodorant. I've been neglecting my weekly face masks and my skin has gotten more textured as a result. So to start on a clean base, I'm double cleansing with hemp oil and following that up with a gentle gel cleanser. I'm massaging the oil into my skin to loosen up my makeup and then dry cleansing with the Tower 28 SOS cleanser, massaging that in, getting into every nook and cranny for about 60 seconds and then washing that off thoroughly. I'm wiping any excess makeup with aloe water and a clean cotton round before I take care of my mustache. I'm applying cornstarch to the area just like I did with my armpits, and on top applying a thin layer of wax the opposite direction that it grows. I look like I'm in serious pain pulling the strip off because it hurt more than I anticipated. So I'm soothing that area with a little more aloe before applying my face mask. To make it, all you're gonna need is some Somali Kasil powder, aloe water, and manuka honey. And for anyone who may ask, there are 0 substitutes for the Kasil because it's a very unique ingredient with healing properties I haven't been able to replicate with anything else. So I'll link the brand that I trust in the description. But if you aren't able to get your hands on Kasil powder, then the second best thing is a plain manuka honey mask. For the skin of my lips and under my eyes, I'm applying manuka honey. It's very hydrating and it works well for sensitive skin types. I've gotten allergic reactions to plenty of different lip and eye masks, and manuka honey just works best for me. While the mask sits, I'm taking a shower, first cleaning under my nails with a fragrance-free bar soap, and I'm using my hands to apply the soap to the rest of my body instead of my African net sponge, since I will be using my body scrub next. This scrub is on the dry side until it comes into contact with water, so it must be used on damp skin. I'm taking care not to apply too much pressure and gently massaging that in. After my body scrub, I rinsed my face mask and washed my most delicate areas with unscented Lumi bar soap. For now, I'm leaving alone my armpits, but for the next 2 days, I usually just use unscented bar soap in that area, and after that, I'm free to exfoliate with either my African net sponge or body scrub. My skin needs a little more soothing, and heavily diluted niacinamide powder works very well for me. I mix it with aloe and am gently patting that in. To protect my skin barrier, I'm using a rich hemp-based face cream under my eyes and over my entire face. I've got very sensitive skin, and this cream in particular has gotten my skin to a very healthy, hydrated state. It's super rich, a little bit goes a very long way, and I take my time massaging it into my skin. And I wasn't planning on going outside after this, so I didn't apply any sunscreen. And for the skin of my body, I love mixing this Derma E lotion with my vanilla infused body oil for a subtle, non-greasy glow. I did also use this same exact oil for my body scrub, and I didn't mention that, but it makes it smell absolutely incredible. But this combination locks the hydration in from my body scrub very well. The length of my nails felt very annoying, so off camera I cut them a bit shorter before I got to work on my at-home manicure. Starting off with cuticle care, I'm using the Butter London cuticle exfoliator with a glass cuticle pusher to clean it up, make it nice and neat. The cuticle is often confused with the proximal nail fold, but those two things are not the same. The cuticle is dead skin on the base of the nail plate, and the proximal nail fold is living skin that acts as a seal to keep bacteria and infections out. To take care of that skin, pushing it back daily, exfoliating the dead skin, and hydrating with jojoba oil works best for super healthy nails. And that's how I was able to grow my nails out to that very annoying length that you saw in the beginning. In general, I let the exfoliator sit on my nails for about 60 seconds before very gently and carefully pushing the nail fold back, and with very light pressure, I'm loosening the dead skin and removing it with the cuticle pusher. As nails grow, sometimes the cuticle sticks to the proximal nail fold, causing it to become stretched out, and this is why pushing it back every day and oiling is very effective for making that skin look so much better. I wish I had a picture to show you how jacked up my nail fold used to look before I started doing this, but the health and look of my natural nails at this point has come a very long way. I neglected exfoliating my cuticle for a while, so a lot of dead skin was coming off. I want to point out that when you are using the pointy side to get into the corners, please use the lightest possible pressure. It's likely that you'll hurt yourself if you use this very rough. You don't have to do that for it to be effective. Gentle is always better than being aggressive. Do your best not to dig under the nail fold and lift that skin either, because remember, this skin is designed to protect us, and we need to start normalizing what an actually healthy nail fold looks like. Using a damp cotton round, I'm wiping the dead skin and the rest of the exfoliant off. It's a lot better to clean it off with a nail brush and soap if you have that. I didn't want to get my nails wet again because the gel nail strips adhere better to very dry nails. So we're going to cheat a gel manicure, because whenever I get gel manicures professionally done, I always end up with dry, brittle nails that break super easily. All the acetone they use to get it off, it does not help either. This is why I prefer using gel strips, because it's easy to put on and it is very easy to take off without damage. After wiping my nail clean with some alcohol, I'm using tweezers to apply the gel strips to my nails. This way I don't get any of the natural oils from my hands onto the adhesive. After smoothing the sides down with an orange stick, I clip the excess off with nail clippers. I feel like the tips come out a lot smoother than when using a nail file. When you're picking the size, I try to go with a smaller option to make sure that it doesn't get on my skin, because if you put this gel strip on your skin, that can cause lifting. It won't last as long. Now on the box it says that it lasts up to 14 days, which can be true. It depends on what I'm doing. If you can't find the right size, it can also be trimmed down with clean scissors. Keep that in mind when you're looking at it and noticing that they don't fit your fingers exactly. I wouldn't recommend stretching it because that ruins the longevity of this manicure as well. After clipping the excess gel polish off, you can gently file any rough edges. I'm using the one that came inside of the box, but I'm actually thinking that the glass nail file may work a little bit better for this. I don't really know, because the glass file is a finer grit, so it may not be powerful enough to get through that gel strip because it is actually pretty thick. To add shine, I'm topping the gel off with the Essie Gel Setter top coat, making sure to cap the free edge to prevent lifting in that area. And once I'm done, I can't add oil or lotion for a few hours because it messes with the adhesive. It's ideal not to wet your nails or apply creams for a few hours, and as a result, this nail routine works best a couple hours before bed. So make sure that you get your skincare and shower routine done before doing this. I hope you learned something new and that you enjoyed this video. If if you did, go ahead and share it with a loved one and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Once 5 p.m. hits, my entire aim is to regulate my nervous system and start slowing down. So shutting down my computer and closing the door to my office helps me to mentally detach and enter